The first truth you need to understand is that nature nor God made any mistakes when we were created. The second truth you need to know is that humans are extremely adaptable and we adapt to any environment that we are in. The third truth is that your genetics do not play as big of a role as your epigenetics do, which is the way that your genes are expressed. And the fourth truth is your subconscious mind processes over 200,000 times more information than your conscious mind does. With that being said, I want you to understand you are a slave to your subconscious mind. It's called subconscious because it's out of your attention. Your conscious attention is limited through the day. That's why you must instill good habits so your subconscious is running a better program in the background. If you quit distracting yourself, you can tap into your subconscious and face the negatives and positives that are there. You'll have to face the stress, your problems, your accomplishments, and examine all of them, good or bad. Besides, drop the good and bad. Let them be. That little voice in the back of your head knows exactly what to do to fix the problems that you have. You just need to listen. This takes time, but the most important thing you can do for your life, improving relationships, improving your work, and ultimately enjoying more of your life because you are consciously thinking about your actions, because you're finally not distracted. Imperialism. This is the extension of a nation's authority by territorial acquisition or by the establishment of economic and political dominance over other nations. Imperialism is attempting to achieve hegemony, which is the predominance of one state or social group over others. Let's talk about how this ties together. This is a very important topic today, as I feel the American people have been put basically through an assembly line, as that has created a common pathways that people go towards. They've created everything that you were interested in, and you have been distracted by everybody else's interest in the trends of the world into thinking that that's what you enjoy. Most people don't even ask themselves if they are doing what they really want to do. Most people don't even know why they're doing what they're doing. The kids in school that couldn't behave actually had something right. They knew something was up with the situation. Sit down for 8 hours a day. They had to make it better for themselves somehow. They had to make some fun out of it. What do you think would happen if you put a tiger inside of a school, or better yet, a monkey that's much closer to a human? They would go crazy. People often forget that we are still actually animals and we are completely disconnected from that side of us. We went from 24/7 requirement, being connected to the world and the ground, and the sun, to over the last 150 years now we're controlling our temperature, controlling the light that we see, and we can move by more ways than just by walking. But the way that we are adapting to our environment is everything that you see in the world today: autoimmune, cancer, depression, anxiety, neurodegenerative disease, cardiovascular disease, psychosis, and addiction. I just wanted to talk about one study from 2003 to 2019 done by Oxford, and this is a quote from the study. Non-Hispanic white children and adolescents, those in the Northeast Census region, the top 25% of counties by economic status and metropolitan counties with a population of 1 million or more, those were the most affected groups by cancer. Do you notice something in that trend? By the way, that study had it was done of 22 million people, and I believe 970,000 cases were reported of cancer, and it was based on the pediatric population. But I noticed something that is about these groups. Northeast regions like New York, Manhattan, and Boston, counties with higher economic status, and metropolitan counties with 1 million people or more. What's different in these types of areas that you may ask that might contribute to this? Well, it's probably not the food, because everybody's just about eating the same thing if they're eating a standard American diet. So you would think that even in rural counties and anywhere else, the prevalence would be the same. But it's not. It's just too much concrete. There's too much people. There's too many trends. They're too disconnected from the earth and literally the grass, and they don't see sunlight for days sometimes. There's a lot of office work, indoor work, endure time in general, and not enough nature, not enough grass. It's a high stress environment. It's loud. There's never darkness at night. The people don't sleep there as well. There's a lot of issues that come with living in a metropolitan area, and living near, not enough grass and not getting enough time outdoors. That's always a theme that you hear when anybody's talking about getting healthier is, you need to, get health, you need to get outside more, diet and lifestyle is the biggest thing, which they are, but they're not talking about the main thing. We are completely disconnected comparing when 150 years ago, like I said, net shoes weren't a thing, and we were not inside all day. We had to be outside. We had to work outside. We were always connected to the environment, whether it was cold or hot. We had to be, and we have lost that. And it's I'm gonna put my iPad down now. I read this little article that I wrote. I'm just trying to get these thoughts out about this, but America has just been told kind of what they enjoy, and some people took that too literally and did it exactly. So I mean, just think about it for like the college educated person. If they lost their curiosity after college because they went to high school and they were just trying to get good grades to get out of high school so they could go to college and get that good job, and then they got that good job, and then all that stress for the first 22 to 23 years of their life, they deemed that as the most important thing in their life, and now they have their big job. They've been sold the idea that this is the best thing that you're going to get to, and then now it's time to start a family and just like work until your 60s, and do it that way, do it the way that we prescribe you to do it. And that's just pretty crazy how 150 years ago everything was privatized. There wasn't a whole bunch of people going through the same type of program, the same standardized testing, the same standardized school, the same curriculum. It was taught by other individuals that your parents trusted, not just people that was put there conveniently. And we have been continuously pushed away from each other. Families have been continuously broken, and that's the biggest problem. That's why the world feels so alone nowadays. They don't have people. People aren't really connecting like they are intended to connect. They're not receiving the signals that there are other people that are like them, because we're not really fostered to talk about anything other than the current events and what's distracting. We're just distracted all the time from so many angles. And there's a spectrum to it. If just imagine if you're the person that's waking up in the morning, checking your phone first thing, social media or the news, you're seeing what everybody else is doing, what everybody else is thinking about, not what you're thinking about. It's completely distracting you. Even the music that you listen to, you are subscribing to their thought process, and it's going into your subconscious mind. And it's not crazy to think that the music you're listening to contributes to like kind of how you feel and what you do. That's obviously not true for everybody, but it's definitely downloading it, in a way. It's distracting you away from, your own presence and your own thoughts, just like school does, just like, going to the hospital. You were told that doctor knows everything, and that doctor is the one to cure you, and you don't know much about your body. Your body is not like you're not intelligent enough to know what's going on with your body. And these doctors are put on this pedestal, and it's absolutely by design. It's no coincidence that a firstborn child I can't remember the exact number, but I believe it's about 80% of doctors are firstborn children. And that's because they were born before their parents had any idea on how to raise a kid. So they kind of set the path. And they were always either, depending on the parents, they were always either right or always either wrong. And they tend to be more ego driven. And I would say that most doctors are pretty ego driven, and they think that they absolutely know what's right. And honestly, they some respect their patients, but a lot of them don't. And respect their patient's opinion is what I mean. They respect them as a person, but like their opinion, they don't. And I think the biggest reason is because they quit becoming curious, because they believe that they reached the end point of 10 and 12 and 16 years of medical school to become a doctor or a surgeon. That's the end point. It's been stressful for the first 30 years of 32, 33, 34 years of their life, going towards one goal, to be a doctor, to help others. And then they get this certificate that says that they can help others because they're trained by the best establishment in the world, the United States of America medical system. And they feel confident about it, and so rightfully so. It's a hard program, but it does take the curiosity out of you, just like school does, just like a lot of the things that we're consuming every day. Social media takes the curiosity of what you might want to do with your life, because you just see other people doing what they're doing with their life, and then you either feel bad or good about it. And it's like, oh, well, maybe I would like to try that. And it's like, oh, but the only reason you think that is because they told you to think that, not because you just like woke up one day and thought about it. So that's why it's important to be with yourself, and you need to take time to hear your own thoughts. And the point is not to say that that's a good thought or a bad thought. The point is to say that's a thought and observe it. Let it go in and just observe it, and let it leave. If it's, you'll know what's beneficial. You'll know what you should act on and what you shouldn't act on. Just don't judge yourself for having thoughts, because you're not your thoughts at the end of the day. I remember that was something that I had to say to myself a lot. I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my emotion, right? And I only had to say that because I felt comfortable enough expressing emotion. Wasn't scared to. As a kid, and I was definitely told that men should never express emotion. Definitely that's kind of like the baseline idea and program. Men are emotionless, but no, we're not emotionless at all. We are extremely full of emotion, and that's fine, but we are better apt at holding that in and keeping it together, because we are you're naturally, the reason why a male is more protective of the environment, can handle a bit more things, physically on the typical thing. Calm down, feminists. Because women are more in tune with the environment. Women can really tell what's wrong in the environment more readily than men can, because we are just a little bit more guarded from it. And that's why men and women, come together so well, I think. And that's why I call my wife that she's my mirror. I tell her she's my mirror, because however I'm acting or treating her or treating anybody, or like, whatever it is, good or bad, I can tell so quickly whether or not I'm saying something that, she might not understand or drive with right away, because she wears her heart on her sleeve. Like, more women wear their heart on the sleeve than men do. And maybe not everybody's going to understand what I just said there, but, I think that's why women are naturally more intuitive and emotional and all of that, is because they're more in tune with the environment than men are. And they've preyed on that idea, and because men are really good at getting locked in and getting focused on just one thing, and you know, we can get really go off on a tangent and get distracted like I have on this video. But that's a good thing.